start. So, humans in general, but especially as men, have a tendency to shut down our emotions by distracting ourselves with the world, with anything basically. Like all the industries, all companies are profiting off and selling you like distractions. So we distract ourselves because it's not all love that we feel. When we initially feel, it's, to avoid feeling that initial pain. I'm saying initial because on the other side of feeling that intense feeling that we try to avoid at all cost, on the other side of that, if you actually accept it at first and just feel and sit with the feeling without trying to distract yourself and avoid it and suppress it, on the other side of that, there's peace. But our ego has all this resistance to feeling. So, especially as men, we suppress our emotions. And I was really shut down. My grandma had died, my relationship had ended, and I was just lost and like switched off. And I was not happy and I was not sad. I was just like shut down. So, and literally for me, there was like no real meaning of life because in Spanish, the word says it, the meaning of life, el sentido de la vida, el sentido, the meaning is connected to the word sentir, feel. So literally there was no feeling. I wasn't feeling anything at all. I was numb. And for me, that's like a trauma. Since I started healing myself, I've still attracted men who are shut down. It's not something that I still do, but it's an energy that I haven't forgiven. So I keep attracting that because I haven't forgiven the energy. So I keep attracting that into my field through relationships with men who are still shutting their emotions down. Women do this too. There's a lot of women who are shut down to their emotions, but they can't, in general, do it to the same extent as men do because, they have their cycles, which is, we're all water. All the water in our body is linked to emotion. All the liquids, the fluids in our body are linked to emotions. And the moon, women are connected to the moon. The moon, you've seen what it does to the ocean with tides. Like, it's real. And if I feel it, like, I feel the moon's phases a lot. And I'm a man, and I don't bleed. But still, I'm 70% water, right? So I feel the moon cycles. Like, sometimes when it's not a full moon, I kind of miss the full moon because during the full moon, I feel more energized. So if I feel the moon's phases so much, I can only imagine what it's like for you women. So, and I think society should totally respect that more, but it's a men's-based society ruled by men who don't care enough about women and their cycles. So, but that's a chat for another time. All that to say, I was really shut down. I had tried mushrooms, and that was my first experience with like a plant medicine. And thankfully nowadays, mushrooms are becoming more legal and studied, and all the benefits that they have on your brain and reconnecting you or rewiring you. There's so many things that, like all the toxins and things that shut us down. So I think plant medicines, they're there for a reason and they can help us, and it's a blessing. So then I heard about ayahuasca. I was living in LA, and I think I was at a party in Santa Monica at the beach, and someone just mentioned ayahuasca. And I don't know, I guess it stuck to me. I don't really remember. But I got the firm intention, like, I need to take ayahuasca. Scary as fuck, yes. I came to South America for my first time, and at a party in Buenos Aires, I met a guy who gave me the contact for the place in Bolivia to take ayahuasca. Like, I knew I wanted to do it, but I didn't know where. So he gave me this place outside of La Paz, up in the mountains in Bolivia. It was August, it was winter, it was 5,000 meters altitude, cold as beautiful. And it was just me, the shaman, and his friend, which was a blessing. So I remember fighting with the taxi driver on the way there, or when we got there, because I feel like he was charging me too much. However, the thing was that I had so many emotions built up that I had shut down. And when you're gonna drink ayahuasca, it's like kind of starts to boil up and you feel a lot of resistance. Your ego is also scared of the unknown, of losing control. So I was scared, but it was like my soul took me there. Like I had to do this. So then it was just me, the shaman, his friend. I had my first cup. Tastes pretty bad, but the first time it's not too bad. I heard all these people say how bad it tastes, and you're like prepared, and then it's like, oh, it wasn't too bad. And then I had a second cup. The shaman only had one. His friend had 2 cups. I had 4. And still, I was like, listening to the drums a little bit. The music was feeling good. I don't know. I wasn't feeling too much. And I thought it was cool that I could drink so much ayahuasca without, losing it. Like that I don't know. I thought it was cool that I was drinking so much ayahuasca. And they were like, wow, you're a strong man. I was like, yeah. Yeah, I felt the rhythm a little bit. Ceremony ended. We walked out. The moon was beautiful. And then I go to bed to sleep. We're all in the same room. The shaman is already snoring. And that's when my ceremony starts. Like my process really starts. And this is supposed to start when you're in ceremony and the shaman is there to help you. But he was sleeping. He did not even wake up or care. He had no clue that I was processing during my sleep. I mean, not even during my sleep. I wasn't sleeping. I was throwing up in my bed. I started seeing all this sacred geometry. Like when I went to bed, that's when I finally surrendered. So all these images, like basically all the emotions that I had built up throughout all these years, they came out of nowhere to me, like bam, when I finally surrendered. Because with ayahuasca and plant medicines, you're supposed to surrender. And I guess I only did that because my wall that I had built was so thick, and I guess I was scared. I didn't know what surrender was. That's how shut down I was. And then, so when I went to bed to try to sleep, that's when I surrendered, and that's when the medicine was able to finally break through my walls. And Lord, did it break through my walls. I threw up. I slept in my own puke. I was outside of time, and I was frankly scared that I wouldn't come back to time, because we're so used to the concept of time, which is only a thing here on earth, and it's a real thing with like cycles, and here we experience space and time, distance and time. But there, like I went to a dimension, and it's not even like, oh, it went by so quickly or it went by so slowly or whatever. No, like the whole dimension of time, gone. Yeah. And then I was crawling to the bathroom. It was freezing cold. Remember, I was at 5,000 meters altitude. The air at that level is thin. So there's not a lot of oxygen, and it was cold. But then in my process, I was like really warm. So I took all my clothes off, and then I put them back on. And then I was on the floor trying to crawl to the bathroom and like getting no help. And I've never seen anyone since then, because I've done many ceremonies, I've never seen anyone have a process like that without getting help. You're not supposed to have this rough process when the ceremony is actually ended. But somehow I survived. I woke up with a bad headache, because ayahuasca also cleanses heavy metals that have been stored and are blocking your third eye, your chakra, your pineal gland, the seat of your soul. You can get a metallic taste in your mouth. That's all the metals cleansing, coming out, and that block your intuition. It's crazy. And I felt really bad, but it was like hitting a switch. I was starting to feel again. So after that, day after that, I was dehydrated and all these toxins coming out of my body, I actually felt really, really, really good. It was really strong because I had 4 cups, and that process was like not easy. So it took me 2 years to do my second ceremony. Some people do, their first time to do a whole full retreat with like 3 ceremonies or more a month. Or some people, they love it, or regardless, they have their first ceremony and then they wait a month and then they have their second and then they do one more and whatever. No, it took me 2 years to do my second ceremony. And then, so first one was 2015 and my second one was 2017. And since then, I've done probably 100 and something ceremonies. It's, for a while, it's helped me so much. Literally, it's been a blessing. It cleanses you on all levels, and it allows you to, align and connect with your subconsciousness where we have all these fears and anger and guilt and shame. Like used to have so much anger in my body. I have healed that with ayahuasca. I'm not saying there's no anger left. Of course there is. But I can feel the difference. Like I used to have this anger coming up into my body and I would feel it as a heat. And in the ceremony, I sweated it out, literally. Like I felt it like 100 times stronger than usual. And I sweated it out and I saw what caused the anger, or like I saw reflections of it. I think I incarnated with this anger, but yeah, that was some rough shit. So yeah, that was my first experience with ayahuasca. Obviously, this is not what it's supposed to be like, and still, even if I had this experience, it's been a blessing because it did switch my emotions back on and I felt alive again after. But if you're thinking about doing it, usually it's done with a lot of care and a lot of love. It's very important where you do it and with whom you do it. Another thing that's very important is the integration after. You need someone to help you integrate, the process and things that you live. If you just do it as an isolated experience and then come back to your normal environment where you have no one who will understand you, because it changes your life. And you need to have someone to talk to about it. And I could be that person. For example, during my sessions, like you can book a sessions on my website, chipchangecoaching.com, and I would love to help you integrate your plant medicine experiences, not necessarily only ayahuasca, because I have experience with several different plant medicines and I know what integration is like. Like that was my first ceremony back in 2015. Since then, I've done probably 150 ceremonies. And I know what it's like to integrate. I know what needs to be done and not to be done, how to ground yourself, how to take care of yourself, how to cleanse your energy. But mostly, just to talk about it. Someone who can hear you and understand you. That's very important. I would love to be that person for you. And, but if you feel it, if you feel my vibe. And then what else was I going to say? It's very important where you do it. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the jungle. Some people are like, no, because I just want to do it like in the jungle. And that's cool. Like whatever you feel, the medicine has a way also of like calling people, and, the opportunity appears when you're meant to go. But there's also a lot of scammers, like be careful. And, the places where I go nowadays, when you take for your first time, they give you just a little bit to start because they don't want to shock you. So they give you like a little bit and you ease into the process, and it's very, very loving. 99.99% when we finish a ceremony in the places where I go, where it's done well, people are feeling great after. But then, it's important to rest after, because you get a lot of life energy, but it's important to rest. And then, the effect kind of dissipates. You come back to your everyday life, and then it's very important to integrate this. And I would love to help you with that. You can go to my website, chipchangecoaching.com, and book your sessions with me if you want to integrate your experiences with plant medicines. I am confident that I can be a good brother for you, whether you're a woman or man, old or young. Also, for a long time, I used to think that, I just need to do a few more ceremonies, or I just need to heal this and heal that and whatever with ayahuasca. And like Ayahuasca was like the answer to all my problems. No, I see ayahuasca and other plant medicines as a tool, as one tool out of many. There are many paths to enlightenment, to feel better. For me, it's one powerful tool that I really appreciate and I like to work with. Sometimes I go like a long time, like say 9 months without taking the medicine because just need to integrate the teachings. But for me, it's also become kind of like a thing where, you know, I drink ayahuasca because I enjoy the indigenous music and the fireplace and to dance. I feel past lives and ancestors literally dancing through me to the beat of the drums around the fire. So for me, it's like my party nowadays, you know, and I don't drink, I don't do drugs. So for me, ayahuasca is like, the ceremony for me is like a party nowadays. And it's still healing. And it's crazy because the medicine starts working with me before the actual ceremony. Like just when I've decided that I'm gonna go, it can awaken some resistance and I start doing the work. It can change my dreams. I can feel like uncomfortable before going. And then finally comes the day of the ceremony. And when I arrive at the place, you know, the actual ceremony is just like the last part of the healing process for me. It's like the celebration part. Because time is relative and your body already knows what's coming. It's crazy how it works. It's all really magical. The things that I've lived in ceremony, like there are fairies, a person can be at several places at the same time. I've seen some crazy shit and I've heard some crazy shit. And I've accessed dimensions. It's deep. And it's beautiful. I've had many, many beautiful, amazing, magical experiences. In one experience, I could feel I was growing wings. Literally, I was like opening up like this and my back, and I had been to the chiropractor a couple of weeks before. It was like all lining up for the ceremony. And in the ceremony, I was feeling like an egg hatching. I was something between a dinosaur and a bird, a big blue bird. And at the breakfast the next day, this woman comes up to me and she's like, "Hey, you're a bird." I was like, "Yeah." It was like a mix of a dinosaur and a bird. And then literally, I felt like a really high vibration at this point. Then after their ceremony ended, the people there recommended a place for me to go and stay in Rio at this bed and breakfast, and it was just me, an Italian lady, and out of nowhere comes this indigenous guy, and he's like, "I'm from the Bluebird tribe." I'm like, what? I'd never heard about a Bluebird tribe. I had never thought about a bluebird before, or me being a bluebird, or had any fascination with bluebirds or whatever. Funny enough, I did realize a long time after that I did have a bluebird when I was younger. You can't make this shit up. 2 years later, I find out that there's an alien race called blue avians. And they are a blue bird-like, or almost like a dinosaur, a mix between a bird and a dinosaur, alien. And their frequency is really high. They are amazing. I'm like, wow, I'm a blue avian. Funny enough, also, another synchronicity is the word avian. If you just throw the letters around a little bit, it becomes Navia, which is the name of my book, for a complete different reason, from Scandinavia, Navia. But yeah, avian. So I'll talk more about blue avians in another chat, but aliens are real, guys. I've seen aliens in other ceremonies. See, there's so much to talk about. I've seen a sky full of spaceships. Frequency was so high and so intense in a good way, like in a positive way, but it was so intense that it's almost like too much. So I like on purpose like went back to like keep healing my human trauma. This resonates with what a former space director, whatever, said after he retired. He revealed the secret that he believes that, you know, aliens will come, but humanity has to prepare first. They haven't showed up yet because when they arrive, their vibration is so high that everything that you have to heal comes up to surface all at once. like all of your shadow comes to surface so that you can be in their high frequency, and it comes all at once, and that's too much. It will be traumatic. And that really resonates with what I experienced in the ceremony. What else? I've seen a spaceship outside of ceremony too in Medellin, Colombia. It was not just me who saw it. Aliens are real, guys, and I do connect to them. I invoke them. I ask for healing. I also connect with the Arcturians and the Lyrans, but we'll talk more about that another time. What else? But yeah, conclusion. Ayahuasca is not going to solve all your problems magically. It's a tool that can help you on your journey of self-discovery and to remember your essence and to heal also your body, your nervous system, your lymphatic system. It cleanses out toxins and can help you reconnect and realign and open up your mind. But be careful, because even like last year, I was 1 weekend doing ceremony, and the next weekend I was at Pedra do Sal, which is a party place here in Rio, and the energies are intense. It's not like one energy is good and one is bad. It's all neutral, but they are different frequencies and different vibrations. And I'm a Pisces. I'm sensitive by nature, which I hadn't realized. Mind you, I took 4 cups. I was really shut down. I was always like, no, I'm not so very sensitive. You know, I always needed like a lot of whatever it was, more than other people, because I was so shut down. I've realized now how sensitive I am. And it's a blessing to be sensitive, because if you listen to it and follow your intuition and respect yourself, you know, and put limits, you will know what places to leave. You would know what's good for you and what not. Excuse me. When I burp, my brother says that it's like, it comes from inner earth. So yeah, I was, 1 weekend during ceremony, becoming more sensitive than I already am. And then next weekend, going to a place with really dense energies and a lot of energies and other people's energies, which, they end up affecting me. So that was not smart. I realized I can't 1 weekend take ayahuasca and the next weekend go to those parties. It doesn't work like that. You gotta respect this path. You gotta respect yourself and know where and when and with whom to do these things, because it's deep and it's transformative and it opens up your field. So be careful and, know where you go. If you wanted to go and you don't know where, I can recommend a couple of places with people that are so loving and they take care of you. And I can help you with preparations. So we can actually do some therapy sessions before your retreat, and we can do some after for integration. It's important. Like, if you're gonna do it well. I highly recommend it. If you feel the call, for me, it's been a blessing. Don't let my crazy first ceremony scare you off from not doing it. A good way of knowing if it's a good place that you're going to is that they will ask you about your health. They'll do a health background on you. You need to fill out a form, tell them about any medicines that you take. Especially, it can be life-threatening. It can be really dangerous if you take antidepressants, and there are some other medicines, or if you have schizophrenia in your family, it's not recommended to take ayahuasca. They will ask you to fill out a form about your health, and it's important that you're honest about it. Other than that, listen to your intuition about a place. Although before a ceremony, it's funny because our ego does not want to go. Our ego will have a lot of resistance because our ego does not want to heal. It doesn't want to face itself. So it can be tricky to know the difference between your intuition and your fear. I've had fear that I was going to die in a ceremony, and still I went, because it's the ego dying and it's the ego being scared. But if you take antidepressants, you need to leave those for quite a while before. Like, there are some medicines that interact and can be life-threatening. So be honest on that and do it in a good place. The music in ceremonies, if you do it with the indigenous people, especially sometimes from Akri that I really love, like the Awanawas and Huni Queens and Noki Queen, and their music is amazing. Their chants guide you, and I recommend that you trust the medicine, that you breathe always. You can always breathe and come back to your breathing and pray and surrender. Trust the medicine. You'll learn to surrender and you'll learn to trust, but that's very important. Have a intention for healing, and yeah.